There are a lot of really great book releases that came out today, May 20th, and I had the pleasure of reading quite a few of them ahead of time. So I'm going to talk about what I've read and what I think, and then I'll tell you the new releases that are on my TBR. For the first new release book that I'll talk about, I will talk about The Starving Saints by Starling. This is a medieval horror novel that follows three women in a besieged castle who are under the influence of mysterious divine visitors. The castle's food supply is rapidly dwindling, and the occupants are having to deal with starvation. And this mysterious entity or deity called the Constant Lady and her saints end up arriving, and they are offering food and healing in exchange for adoration. In the story, we have three women: Focine, who is a sorceress, we have Servoine, who is a knight, and we have Trelia, who is a servant. Focine is acting as a sorceress, and she's really trying to understand what the saints are doing there, what they are doing to manipulate the occupants. Servoine is a knight, and so she is actually kind of loyal to the saints, loyal to whoever is in power at that location. And then Trelia is a servant girl who is plotting revenge against Servoine for something that Servoine did in the past. There is sapphic love in this story, and each of these ladies interacts with each other to try and figure out what's going on. Do they need to stop the saints? Do they need to give in to the saints? What should they be doing? The saints bring food, like I said, but it is not normal food. In this world, things don't grow and there are no animals to harvest. So the food that they bring comes with a sinister twist to it, and the folks who give in and eat the food and accept the healing kind of become brainwashed, and they are really just very under the influence of these saints. There is a lot of madness that descends. There is gothic horror vibes for sure, sapphic love, like I mentioned. And as the story progresses, these three women have to fight about what is important to them. They have to internally consider what matters and what are they going to do about this problem, and is it a problem they want to solve. This novel explores themes of desperation, power, the dark side of faith, and has a focus on the psychological impacts of starvation and the allure of divine intervention. If you liked anything by Agustina Bastarrica, and more specifically, if you liked The Unworthy, you're really, really going to love this one. I definitely loved it. I will be purchasing a physical copy. The next book release that I want to talk about is The Love Haters by Katherine. And this is one I actually originally DNF'd it. I was reading the galley, and we are following Kate, or Katie, as she is sort of a love hater. She is a videographer and trying to kind of find her place in the world. She is offered an opportunity to go to Key West, Florida, and film a video of a Coast Guard rescue swimmer. And she goes, and she really kind of struggles to fit in there initially. The reason that I DNF this book is Kate deals with some body image issues, and there's like some self-love type of stuff that was in the story, which I think is great. I personally was not in the mood to like read that, as I have dealt with my own body image stuff, and it didn't feel genuine when I was reading it at that time. I did go back and pick this book up. I listened to it via audio when I picked it back up, and I ended up really enjoying it. And Katie, not Kate, Katie, ends up like kind of finding a little bit of a home there in Key West, and she has to embark upon filming this video of Hutch, who is the Coast Guard swimmer. But the problem is Katie can't swim, and so she has to figure out how to swim, as well as kind of figure out how to film Hutch and capture what he does. Hutch and Katie, of course, do end up falling in love. It's really, really cute. There's some found family tropes in here. There's a really awesome dog. It's very like tropical light vibes. And the conflict that they encounter later in the story I thought was really well done. It's not like a simple miscommunication trope, which I dislike so much. So this one was really, really well done. It's a great palate cleanser. It's great chick lit. I have also read the rom-comers by Katherine. I think I like the rom-comers better, but this one was really, really well done. The next one that I'll talk about is Not Safe for Work. And this is another kind of vacation-y rom-com. In this story, we are following two engineers who are going to Hawaii to participate in like a leadership conference, and they are sort of rivals or enemies, if you will, and end up having to share a hotel room. There is a one-bed trope, but they don't fall for that, unfortunately. Our FMC in this story is very much a brat. it was pretty off-putting for me in a lot of ways, how bratty she is, but thankfully she comes around. If she had stayed that bratty, I would not have continued reading. Our male main character in this story, you can tell that like he is down bad for this girl. He has fallen first, and it takes her a long time to get there. This was all right. The conflict in this story is frustrating. That's all I will say. I really did not like the conflict. I also just, like I said, didn't like how bratty the FMC was. Like, she creates a lot of her own problems. And it's in a really superficial, like really vain way that I just did not enjoy. Overall, though, I think I give this one about 3.25 stars. It was a fine palate cleanser. That's really when I reach for romances, for palate cleansers. It's not deep by any means, but definitely check it out for like a beach read. The next one that I read and really enjoyed is We Live Here Now by Sarah Pinborough. And this tells a story of an English couple who move to the English countryside. And Emily is our main character, and she has had some kind of injury, so she's like a little bit disabled, and she moves to the countryside with her husband. They are sort of looking to have a fresh start, if you will. Upon moving into this house, though, Emily begins experiencing strange occurrences in the house, including creaking floors and objects falling from shelves, particularly in the third floor bedroom, which they choose not to sleep in. Smart move of them. Emily is really struggling to tell if these things are real or if they're hallucinatory. She's recovering from her accident. Her husband goes to work. He doesn't see these things. And so she's kind of like, am I losing it or not? There are more and more things that continue to pile up in this story, and it really solidifies that there are ghosts in this house and something spooky is going on. It's also really interesting because as the story progresses, we are uncovering Freddie's past, and he has made some mistakes that are now coming back to bite him and Emily in the butt. And we see how the house and the activity within the house is affecting Emily and Freddie's relationship. I don't want to say more than that because it's all going to be spoilers, but I really, really loved this one. This is like the September house, but being more involved in the ghosts, and I think in a more sinister way. The September house to me was like scary, but it was almost lighthearted in how scary it was. This one is like genuinely creepy. I loved the way that it ended. It does not go where you think it's going to go, and this was absolutely fantastic. I do need to get a physical copy of this because I think I'm going to go back to this one, or at the very least, I'm going to reference it in videos often. And the last one that I actually read, or rather DNF'd, is Left of Forever by Tara DeWitt. I DNF'd this because it's second chance romance. That is not my favorite at all. I think that this story probably would have been pretty good. I think I got maybe 20% in, and I was just like, yep, I do not care about these characters. We are following a couple. The male, I think, has moved out. I honestly don't even remember his name. He's moved out, and they have a child together, and it's just, he's still in love. She's trying to move on. Like, she's trying to date. He's still in love. It was obvious to me what was going to happen. I didn't really care enough, and I really just don't like that trope. So I did put this one down. That being said, if you like second chance romance, I've heard very good things about this one for those who actually like that trope. And now for books that are on my TBR. I only have one physical copy of this. Gallery Books was nice enough to send me The Feeders by Matt Serafini. The other books are either I have the galley or it's on their way to me. Feeders says, get what you deserve. This is a headlock of full-on terror, timely, chilling, and unputdownable. This will be the horror novel everyone will be talking and posting about. And the blurb on here says, when a video depicting the brutal murder of a former classmate leaks online, Kyle Bennington's curiosity gets the better of her, leading to the discovery of an off-grid social media app called Monolife. Given that Kylie's dreams of becoming a successful influencer remain frustratingly elusive, this mystery app seems like just the ticket for online superstardom. But as it turns out, there are certain cryptic rules in the user agreement that must be adhered to, such as interacting with other users at least twice daily or risk losing it all. Never ever speaking of Monolife's existence to non-users or risk dire consequences. For this is a platform that primarily rewards the worst in human behavior and which begins chipping away at Kylie's sanity across post after post for an ever-increasing audience of immoral fans. Now Kylie's going to find out just how far she's willing to go on her unyielding rise to the top, even if that means coming face to face with the frightening and ruthless forces behind Monolife who see all from deep within the shadows. That's really cool. It's like Fight Club, but make it social media and also really dark. I'm really looking forward to this one. This looks really great. I hope to be picking this one up soon. And thanks, Gallery, for sending this to me. We also have Aftertaste releasing today, which is a debut novel by Daria Lavelle. And this follows a dishwasher who can taste the favorite foods of deceased people, crazy, allowing him to reunite the living with their loved ones through food. His ability to taste these aftertastes leads him to open a restaurant that serves as a place for closure, but his actions threaten the stability of the afterlife, and he falls for someone who knows he must be stopped. I definitely hear that this is whimsy, but also kind of dark, and it's like a dark comedy love story. So, really cool, really interested in this one. And last but not least, I think the book that a lot of us or most fantasy readers are really excited for, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. This says that it is a gothic, mist-cloaked tale of a prophetess who is forced beyond the safety of her cloister on an impossible quest to defeat the gods with one knight whose future is beyond her sight. Now, I am trying to go into this about as blind as can be. That line is all that I've read about this. I've seen really positive reviews of this story. I've also heard that maybe there's a funny, familiar type of character in this story, but I honestly don't want to know any more than that. I have the audiobook of this, and my physical version should come tomorrow. I got the Barnes & Noble special edition one. So I am chomping at the bit to dive into this. I am so excited for this. I loved One Dark Window and Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig, so I'm really excited for this. But I don't want to give you more of the story because I myself am trying to go in blind. So I will share my thoughts in a review once I've read this. Let me know if you are reading any of these new releases or if you are looking forward to them, and tell me what you think if you have read them.